Good morning, Cape Fear. All right. All right, so we are continuing through Genesis. We're in Genesis 13. If you want to turn, you are more than welcome to, but we're going to make it through 2 chapters, so I recommend reading through it with me. But last week, I just kind of want to reiterate because it all matters. Last week, we talked about Abram and his call, and how every one of us as Christians, when we accept Christ, he lays a calling upon our life. There's nobody in here who is not expected to live a certain kind of way when you have accepted Christ as your Savior. But like Abram, many of us decided to take a little detour. Many of us decided that, I'm all on fire, but then things started to fade. Feelings were a little different, and we started doing some other things. Abram decided, God says, hey, go to this land that I will show you, and it'll be yours. And Abram's on his way, and then all of a sudden, things get a little difficult. He gets a little rumble in his tummy because there's a famine, right? And he goes down to Egypt, and he says to his apparently smoking hot, beautiful wife, hey, you're so drop-dead gorgeous that I need you to tell people you're my sister so they don't kill me. It's a terrible plan. But he does it, and they go down there, and she's my sister, and he gets, they end up giving Abram all of this wealth so that the Pharaoh can marry his sister and take her into his home. And I'm pretty sure that this is not the plan Abram thought. It's not how it was going to work out. He thought he knew better, and instead he just kind of did his own thing. Pharaoh realizes things aren't going well. He finds out. He's upset. He's like, well, Abram, you lied to me. I'm mad at you. I'm cursed by God. Get your wife and get out. And so they go back on their way. And that's where we are today. So the question becomes, like, is Abram going to be back on his path this morning? Well, there's many of us that have to ask ourselves kind of the exact same thing. And so I shared with you last week, like, my journey and getting saved, and then kind of like taking it for granted for about 10 years, and then kind of getting a little serious, and then maybe taking a detour again, and then like getting serious again, and basically bringing me to this very moment. During that, there were quite a few men with me on my journey. And I like brothers in the Lord, like across the board, there were quite a few men with me during this journey. And I, as I was reading Genesis 13 and 14, I couldn't help but think about all the men that were like by my side, regardless of their spiritual growth, regardless of their spiritual maturity, regardless of, come to find out, even if they were saved. I mean, there was one guy who was by my side for a while, and then one day he walks in, he's like, I got saved this weekend. And we were like, what? Like, he had been part of our ministry for a while, and we were like, huh? They never asked the question, but it was just this assumption, and it was kind of heartbreaking. But I thought about all of these men and all of the situations, and I'm going to share one. I'm going to leave out incriminating details, but I'm going to share one situation with you this morning that I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to anyway. Of an instance of when one of my brothers in Christ put us into a predicament. But as we were going through it, I realized, and I couldn't help but think, and honestly get a little emotional about all of the men that had come into my life throughout the years, and then some of them fizzled out for the Lord, which is just heartbreaking. Like it hurts so deeply. Like the guys that are in my life, the only thing I desperately want for them is I want to continue to seek the Lord. I want to bring them closer to the Lord, and I want them to bring me closer to the Lord. I want to walk together, holding each other accountable and building each other up. I want to carry each other's burdens. I want to share the yoke. I want to draw us closer together. The problem is they are not all quite equipped to do that. And so we've got Abram here, and Abram, like, we know that Abram is, he's God's guy. Like, he was chosen by God. Again, I'm going to skip a little ahead, but he was chosen by God to be the father of many nations. And he is by no means a perfect man. And so let's read about Abram and Lot. And so we're going to read chapter 13. Yep, we're going to read chapter 13. He says, "So Abram went up from Egypt." Remember that place that things did not go quite so well? "He and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the Negeb." And so Abram had a lot before, but now coming out of Egypt, the dude is loaded. This man is wealthy. And Lot, if you don't remember, is his brother's son. So Lot is his nephew. And he's along this journey, like Lot's in. It says, "Now Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver, and in gold. And he journeyed on from the Negeb as far as Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Ai, to the place where he had made an altar at the first. And there Abram called upon the name of the Lord. And Lot, who went with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, so that the land could not support both of them dwelling together. For their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abram's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. At the time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were dwelling in the land. Then Abram said to Lot, 'Let there be no strife between you and me, and between your herdsmen and my herdsmen, for we are kinsmen. Is not the whole land before you? Separate yourself from me. If you take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if you take the right hand, then I will go to the left.' And Lot lifted up his eyes and saw that the Jordan Valley was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt and the direction of Zoar. This was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose for himself of all the Jordan Valley, and Lot journeyed east. Thus they separated from each other. Abram settled in the land of Canaan, while Lot settled among the cities of the valley and moved his tent as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were wicked, great sinners against the Lord. The Lord said to Abram, after Lot had separated from him, 'Lift up your eyes and look from the place where you are, northward and southward and eastward and westward. For all the land that you see I will give to you and to your offspring forever. I will make your offspring as the dust of the earth, so that if one can count the dust of the earth, your offspring also can be counted. Arise, walk through the length and the breadth of the land, for I will give it to you.' So Abram moved his tent and came and settled by the oaks of Mamre, which are at Hebron. And there he built an altar to the Lord." So, look, Abram and Lot, Lot comes up. I'm sure if you remember the Bible stories from a kid, Lot comes up a couple of times. But Lot's on this journey with Abram. He's in. And so Lot's got a bunch. He's wealthy, so he's got tents and livestock and people. And Abram, they go back to where he first built that altar. So let's compare these two men, okay? And so Abram is the spiritually mature one called by God, and he goes to this altar. He goes back to the original altar he built, and it says he calls upon the Lord. He prays. He goes to God. He's giving praise. He's giving thanks. He's asking for guidance. He is going to the Lord and saying, "God, okay, so you've placed this calling in my life. I don't really know what you want me to do because it's big, and I'm asking you, Lord. I'm saying, hey, what do you got for me? What do you want me to do?" And Lot's hanging out with him. It doesn't say anything about Lot going to the Lord. And Lot's hanging out with him, and Lot's looking around, and Abram's look, little friction here. There's probably some friction between Abram and Lot, and there's definitely friction between his people and his people, and it's bringing up some problems. And so Abram's look, we can't live this close. We can't be on this land together. It's time to you go your way and I'll go my way. It's all good. But here, look out amongst. It's vast. It's the Middle East, land for days. And he's look, if you go left, I'll go right. If you go right, I'll go left. Basically, hey, you got free choice, Lot. Which one do you want? Lot looks out and he sees this lush valley that is well watered like the garden of the Lord. It looks like Eden, paradise on earth. This place is beautiful. In modern day, what I see is I see two men standing in Nevada looking over the desert, and one dude just being like, Vegas. It's the one I want. Because it talks about Sodom being in this land, and they are just of ill repute, right? Like great sinners. Like he's looking and he's like, so one man is like, look, man, you go your way and I'll just take the other. You got first choice. And the other one's like, Vegas. Like look at all of the things, the wealth, the people, the everything. Like, ooh. Have you guys ever seen Vegas? No, not in my church. All right, so when you are approaching Vegas, especially at night, I mean, it is a sight to behold. I mean, like, it is something else. Like, there are more lights and shiny things, and then you get down, and you start going down Vegas, like going down the strip in Vegas. I personally, I don't know what it is about it, the Bellagio fountain is insane. Like, we were staying in this hotel, it was called the Flamingo, and we were up all night. We're in the Flamingo. I like flamingos. If you don't know, I got a thing for flamingos. Okay, so we're in the Flamingo, and we're like way up, and we were watching this fountain out my window, and it was shooting like as high as my room, and it's like Vegas. Like we got out, we got in the. I mean, it's amazing. Like it is a sight to behold, right? And then we left the hotel, and then experienced Vegas. It's not my kind of city. It's not my kind of city at all. I can look and I think that Sodom, there have got to be some similarities. Like you cannot walk down the street without your morality being assaulted. Just in general, there's dudes that flick cards and just hand you morality things, like immoral things. And so, like I think about this and I look at Lot and I look at Abram and Abram goes to the Lord. He says, Father, like just what would you have me? And he says, hey, bro, nephew, like, take your pick. Let's do our thing. Vegas. And so he goes, and they split. And they split up, and, you know, it was a wise decision to split because, like, it just wasn't enough. For all the things that they had, it just wasn't enough. All the peoples, like, herdsmen are probably fist-fighting over pasture land. I'm making that up. I don't know if that actually happened. And I don't think it's bad, but I think comparing Vegas and the Jordan Valley and Sodom is fair. But it was the right choice. So I can't help but relate to these two men. I wish I could just be like, I can relate to Abram. Like, I can relate to being the mature one, and I wish I could say that is the only one I can relate to, but for sure I can relate that there have been times that I was Lot in relationships. I'm the idiot that's like, let's go do that thing, and the person with me is like, that's going to get you in trouble. I'm out. I got this. And the trouble I did get into, for sure. Like, what could go wrong with taking all of your wealth and going into this valley where all of these people are and these cities that you know are not good, and you want to go down there and you're following the calling of the Lord, and he's saying, look, I'm going to give this to you. And you just going. Now, I'm not always a lot. Sometimes I can definitely relate to Abram. So I told you I was going to share a story, and I have to leave out some details. So this one night, there were fireworks. We were celebrating 4th of July, driving on our motorcycles. It was the club days. And there's an argument ensues as we're leaving the parking lot. It's a bad argument. It results in someone following me and, like, basically trying to run me off the road, and I wasn't even in the argument. Like, I didn't even take part in the argument. But we get to another location, and a disagreement happens, not with me, But a disagreement happens, some words are said, some threats are made, and the gentleman who was really, really, really upset took great offense to the things that were said. Well, what we found out was this gentleman was a senior member of a very well-known street gang who just got out of prison for murder. And in this process, again, I have to be careful, but in this process, he made some threats to both me, my guys, and those around us. And there was a moment of fear. There was a moment of, what ought we do? Well, I mean, one option, and the first option that most men go to is like gearing up, ready to fight. Like, I mean, that's an option. One option would be calling the police, but it's not going to have the results that one might want. And we were kind of at a loss. And one of my guys had got us into a very, very, very sticky situation where there was great danger, great danger. And when I say senior member and I say, oh, it's just what he said and it's probably not real, no, I had to make some phone calls and make sure that this was all real. And he had called back to someone to get permission to basically greenlight us. If you know what that means, you know what that means. And so we were in this predicament. It was kind of scary because I'm in a Christian motorcycle club. My only thing that I want to do is bring Jesus to a world that just doesn't know him. And now I'm like, when you hang around certain folks, like certain things happen. So one day we were fixing some things at the clubhouse, and I saw his car surveilling us, basically. And I had to make a decision, well, whether they're going to meet this head on, or I'm just going to lie and just wait for something to happen. So I got on my motorcycle, and I followed him. No, it was in my truck. Sorry, it wasn't my motorcycle. It was in my truck. And I went to go talk to him. I just wanted to talk to him. He took off. Results in this high-speed chase through all of these back areas until he finally pulls into a gas station of which he knows, and he gets out, and he's ready to go. And I get out, and I'm like, bro, like, look, I just want to talk. And I proceed to preach the gospel to him and tell him, like, look, like, this is a great misunderstanding. Like, brother, like, we are not the motorcycle club you think we are. We are only here. I said, yeah, that got out of control, but that's because the flesh took over, and men are men, and some things were done, and some things were said, and I'm sorry. We were out there for an hour. In the entire hour, I was unsure if I was walking away from this gas station alive. Like it was that intense. And I didn't know how big he was. When that boy got out of his car, I was like, this dude was huge. I ain't got out of his car. I just looked up, and I was like, I wasn't going to fight anyway, but this was a moment. So in this moment, I'm like, well, I know I didn't create this situation, but I know that there's an element here that I have to try to resolve this situation. And every word of this is true. And as I talked to him, it took me probably 30 minutes for him to even realize that I was genuine in what I said. And when I was like, brother, I love you. Like, I love you. And I don't, he's like, you don't know me. I was like, I don't need to. Like, I desperately, I don't care what happens here. I need you to hear about who Jesus is. I need you to hear about like what he can do for you. I need you to understand that my brother who did some stupid stuff, like when this happened, man, I am so sorry for that. I need you to hear from the bottom of my heart, you will get an apology, whatever you want. He's like, I want him to apologize to my family. I was like, bring him. So he did. So I got to preach the gospel to his wife and his children and him. And then he said, you know what? I miscalculated this. You guys are all good. I wasn't sure if we were. There was a moment I actually had some questions. Is everything okay? I don't know what's going on back there. But there was this moment I had questions, but I had to do something. I had to do something. in this situation, when you're the Abram, you've got to protect the Lot. And hopefully, when we're young in our faith and we're kind of immature and kind of dumb, hopefully we have an Abram there beside us who can protect us from ourselves. And so why do I tell this story? Let's read about Lot. So let's read chapter 14. It says, in the days of Amraphel, I'm going to read these confidently. I have no idea if it's right. In the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of Goim, these kings made war with Bera, king of Sodom, Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Adamah, Shemabar, king of Zebulun, and king of Bela, that is Zor, and all these joined forces in the valley of Siddim, that is the Salt Sea. 12 years they had served Chedorlaomer, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him came and defeated the Rephaim in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, the Zuzim and Ham, the Emim in Shavakirathim, and the Horites in their hill country of Seir as far as El Paran on the border of the wilderness. Then they turned back and came to En-Mishpat, that is Kadesh, and defeated all the country of the Amalekites and also the Amorites who were dwelling at Hazazon Tamar. Then the king of Sodom, the king of Gomorrah, the king of Admah, the king of Zeboam, and the king of Bela, that is Zor, went out, and they joined battle in the valley of Siddim with Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, Tidal, king of Goim, Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Arioch, king of Elasar. 4 kings against 5. If they've got 5 kings, I think they've got one up their sleeve. Sorry. Now the valley of Siddim was full of bitumen pits, and as the king of Sodom and the Gomorrah fled, some fell into them, and the rest fled to the hill country. So the enemy took all the possessions of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their provisions and went their way. They also took Lot, the son of Abram's brother, who was dwelling in Sodom, and his possessions, and went their way. Then one who had escaped came and told Abram the Hebrew, who was living by the oaks of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and of Aner. These were allies of Abram. When Abram heard that his kinsmen had been captive, he led forth his trained men born in his house, 318 of them, and went in pursuit as far as Dan. And he divided his forces against them by night, he and his servants, and defeated them and pursued them to Hobah, north of Damascus. Then he brought back all of the possessions and also brought back his kinsman Lot with his possessions and the women and the people. So Lot, who is sitting there under the leadership of Abram, chooses this lush valley, and it even says, and we know that those in Sodom are greatly sinful men. And so Lot looks across this and decides to set up house in Sodom itself. And we have just this great raging battle between 2 sides. 4 kings against 5 kings. And the kings of Sodom, Lot's side, they lost. They didn't just lose a little. They lost so bad that they took slaves, took prisoners, and carted all of their stuff and all of their things and all of the people away to enslave them, sell them, and make them work. Okay, again, I tell you, sometimes I can be the Lot. I have identified as Lot, and others as the Abram. So Abram has this choice. So somebody escapes and comes and is like, look, dude, your nephew just got captured with all of his stuff and all of his people and all of his things. They took him, and he's gone. He is sold into slavery. Abram's probably sitting there going, my brother's going to kill me. Why not let that boy out of my sight for like 5 minutes? It's probably more than that. But he's like, that is my kinsman. I mean, look at him. Like, they were spatting with each other. At one point, they were fighting. And Abram's like, look, man, let's not fight. Like, you take what you want, brother. Like, take what you want. I'll take the rest. I'll take the other. He's like, he's so full of wisdom and love and grace. He's like, you do you. And then he gets carted off, and Abram's like, I got this. What, 318 men? I mean, these must have been some hardened dudes. I mean, these guys are some killers. We're just talking about a battle that defeated city kingdoms of soldiers. And Abram by night goes in, splits his guys, I don't know if it was in half, but splits his guys and defeats them in the middle of the night. Night raids. Like, the U.S. military uses this tactic quite a bit. Like, at night, it's a really good time to attack. And Abram goes in with his boys and he says, "No, we're going to get Lot back. There is nothing that is going to stop him. Like, we're going to go retrieve our kinsman, our boy. We're going to bring him back. And his stuff. We're going to bring it all." And so Abram, he's got this burden. He's got this burden of leadership. He's got this burden of I'm not going to say seniority, but like of being the mature believer. He's got this burden of being the mature man. He's got this burden of being the uncle. He's got this burden of being the senior. He's got this burden that he is not only supposed to teach, but take care of, even when it doesn't make sense to anyone around him. How many people do you think said, "Dude, he got himself into that situation. Just let it go. Do you really want to risk your life over him?" I mean, he moved into Sodom, for crying out loud. He did his thing. Do you really want to? And Abram, without a doubt, said, "Of course, let's ride." And so when we go back and we think that, look, Abram had this calling, he took a detour, but man, he is right back on track. He is right back to saying, look, I am in charge. I have this calling of the Lord to go and take this land, and I have responsibility over caring for Lot and ensuring that he's okay, and he takes it seriously. So even though he took his detour, he's back on, just like each and every single one of us. Each and every single one of us have taken our detour. We have said, like, "God, I am yours. I'm going to place my saving faith in Christ." And then a lot of us, maybe not all, but a lot of us, if not all of us, have fallen off the path of righteousness and indulged in the worst of the worst, and some of us have thought that we are too far gone to get back. Some of us have thought that we are too far removed, that we have done too bad, but none of that is true. Others of us have wanted to get back on the path, but they've drug everything with them and want to keep doing what they've been doing and saying, "I want to serve you, Lord, and I want to embrace all of this sin and debauchery that I had in my life because, it fits." And see, that's the difference. Is Abram here, he's like, "I'm back, and I'm back, and I'm going to care for my people, and I'm going to care for you." It doesn't mean he stays there. As we're going to find out, he is a man of not a man of perfection. He definitely sins and falls. But there are many men and women in here who can identify with needing to be there for others and picking up the pieces and cleaning up the mess. And you know what Abram doesn't do at the end? He doesn't complain. He doesn't whine. He doesn't say, "Oh, again?" He goes to the Lord. And we're going to read about that. And I was trying to figure out how to continue my story. I could not do it. And this week, somebody decided to dump cats on our land, at our place. Bunch of cats. Years ago, didn't like cats. And I was thinking, like, I told Wendy about the cats, and she's like, "Ugh." And I'm like, "No, we got to take care of them. We got to keep them. Like, there's no option." And I go, "But this is your fault." And she goes, "What do you mean it's my fault?" So years ago, I didn't like cats, and this little cat about that big came up to our porch, and the girls all banded together to like, sad face, sad panda, "Oh, please, Dad, please." And I fought it pretty hard. And this stupid cat was sitting there, and they're all like, "But could we keep him?" I'm like, "No, please. No, I don't want a cat. We're not keeping a cat." "Okay, fine, we'll keep the cat." And that stupid cat crawled up and just did this thing and did the thing and did the brrr thing and just, I don't care how hard you are, generally that will melt you if you have a heart. And I was still not like, it wasn't like my cat, but like it had softened me up. Well, what had got me was this cat was a killer. I mean, this was the most killer cat. I mean, this cat was a killer. It would bring dead things into the house all the time. Sometimes not so dead. Decapitated bird on Sarah's pillow, not dead bird. And we'd walk in the house, we're like, where is there a bird in our house? We couldn't, like, it took us a little while to figure out. And then it found what it wanted to do, and in my garage, where I spent my time, it would bring me a gift every single day. And every single day, I had a chore of cleaning up a disemboweled animal of whatever variety that there was. I mean, it was like everything. I had to look some of the animals up. I'm like, what is this? I mean, for real. And she would bring me this gift every single day. And this cat was a killer. And she brought this to me because it was important to her. The kill was important. And she brought it to me to share it. Now, there was never this one time when I said, hey, Lacey, if you want to stay in this house, if you want me to care for you, if you want me to do the things for you that I do, make sure there's food in your bowl and water, hey, I need you to bring me dead things regularly and disembowel them on the altar of my garage floor. I need you to do that. No. She knew what was important to her. Like, the way that she showed her appreciation and love, if cats can have love, if they can, this was her way of showing her affection, for lack of a better term. And I really grew to appreciate this. I know some of you might be going, that's twisted, but in my brain, I was like, man, do you know how much this cat loves me? This cat goes out and works hard for this, because some of these things are the same size as the cat. Like, there were these furry rat things that she would bring in, and like, they were the same size as the cat. And then she disappeared one night, and I would walk out my garage, and I would look at my garage floor, and there were no presents, and it made me sad. It made me sad. And so I blamed Wendy. I said, look, we got to care for these cats because of you and Lacey, what you did for me for this cat. But I was thinking about this week, and I was like, man, that's a lot of cats, man. If they all bring me something dead every day, like this, I mean, this is going to be like a task. I'm going to have to figure something out on how I'm going to dispose of these dead animals. But, I mean, it's not a concern yet because they're real small. But I was thinking about Lacey again and these gifts that she would give me. Like, do you think she probably wanted to eat them? I would say probably. I would say that there was a part of her, but I also think that she brought them to me because she wanted me to eat them. I didn't. Don't worry. But I think she just wanted me to know that she appreciated us taking her in. I don't know if they think this deep, but she was showing affection of some sort. I mean, I do like cats, but like, they're still cats, right? And so I was thinking about that, thinking about this idea, and let's continue in verse 14, 17. How is he going to tie this in? Well, after his return from the defeat of Chedorlaomer and the kings who were with him, the king of Sodom went out to meet him at the valley of Shaveh. So the king of Sodom, with his defeated kings and armies, went out to meet Abram himself. Verse 18, and Melchizedek, king of Salem. Salem is the pre-name for Jerusalem. Salem, Jerusalem. So when Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine, he was priest of God Most High. And he blessed him and said, blessed be Abram by God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has delivered your enemies into your hand. And Abram gave him 1/10 of everything. And the king of Sodom said to Abram, give me the persons, but take the goods for yourself. But Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted my hand to the Lord, God Most High, possessor of heaven and earth, that I would not take a thread or a sandal strap or anything that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich. I will take nothing but what the young men have eaten and the share of the men who went with me. Let Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre take their share. So he shows back up He's like conquering, bringing back Lot, and bringing these kings back all their stuff. I mean, if we know something about kings, they like their stuff. And he brings it all back, and the king of Sodom goes out, and Melchizedek goes out. And we've heard this Melchizedek name, and he's like the first priest of the Lord. We don't really know where he came from, and we don't really know where he goes, but we know he's the priest of the Lord. And Abram, he comes, and he's like this conquering hero. I mean, they just got the floor swept with him. It's embarrassing. Like, not only did they get beat, they lost all their stuff and all their people and just got wiped out. And Abram brings it all back to him with 300 and something dudes. That's it. Like I don't know if they all come back, but that's all he took with him. And he shows up, and king of Sodom comes out, and he's acting all high and mighty, right? So the king of Sodom's kind of like making demands. Melchizedek comes out, the priest of the God Most High, king of Salem. He comes out, and he's like bringing them food and bringing them wine and showing this grace and this service. And he comes out, and he's like, blessed Abram, and Abram said, Melchizedek, I'm going to give you a tenth of everything. Not because there was this law in place that we give a tenth of everything we have. Not because Melchizedek said, yo, I want my stuff back, or you owe me something. We serve the same God, I need to get a little. Not because he owed him anything. Abram came in completely from out of town to go handle some business and shows up with it all. He doesn't do it for any other reason other than to care for Lot and to honor the God Most High. And so he gives Melchizedek a tenth of everything, which is a tenth of these other dudes' stuff, these other kings. And the king of Sodom says, look, take it all, just give me the people. I want my people, you can have the goods. Abram's like that's not what this is for. He said, I did this for God. I'm not going to take a thread or a sandal strap. Like the most menial of things, I'm not taking nothing other than what's in my guys' bellies, other than the food that they've eaten. I'm going to take nothing. I did this for God. And I'm going to show God the glory through giving you, Melchizedek, a priest of the Most High, giving you part of the spoil. And so I compare this to my cat. Because this is the first time this happens. You go to church how many times and preachers are like, well, if you don't give a tenth of what you make, then you're stealing from God. You're ripping it right out of his hand. Well, it says it in Scripture that you shall give a tenth, and if you don't, you're a thief, and you're gonna burn or whatever. I might be exaggerating that last part, maybe just a little bit. But we so often hear it said in church that you have to give a tenth. And so I've had conversations with people that are like, so am I supposed to give a tenth of my gross or my net? I'm like, oh my goodness. That's not what it's about. We're supposed to have giving and generous and loving hearts. And I have stood up here so many times and railed against this idea of the law of the tenth. It's not what it's about. We are supposed to be here and give generously to each other, to care for each other, to the community, to care for the community. We have a responsibility to the church, so we must give to maintain what we have going. Like, it is important that we give for the right reasons. It's important, I hope this isn't wrong, to give like my cat. My cat gave to me because my cat wanted to bless me. My cat wanted to show its appreciation. My cat didn't give to me because of some contract that we had written that she had to pay rent. That cat did for me all of the things it could think of doing for me just to say, hey, dude, I love you in my cat way. If you die, I will eat you, but I love you in my cat way. If you don't, just look it up. I want to honor and bless God that same way. I only want to give and serve because I want to show him who he is to me and how special and precious he is. And I want to serve you because I want to show you how much I love you and how precious you are to me and how much I care. I don't want to do it out of obligation. I don't want you to do things for this church and for each other and for God out of obligation. That's why the 10th thing just doesn't, that's why it's saying you have to give a 10th. That's why saying that is not of the New Testament. It's not how things are supposed to be done. It's supposed to be because we want to show our honor and we want to glorify him with everything that we are. I desperately want to give, just like my cat, which is the weirdest thing I think I've ever said from the pulpit. And I've said some weird things, and some of you are going through the Rolodex right now trying to figure out if it's the weirdest thing. Like, I want to give just for the pleasure of giving and just for the pleasure of showing appreciation. I want to serve you for that exact same reason. I don't want to serve out of obligation. I don't want to serve because that's what I'm supposed to do as a pastor or as a Christian. I want to serve you because I want to glorify God with everything that I do. I want this Abram guy, like he's a big deal. Like we read last week, like they were talking about him in the New Testament. Like we talk about the Abrahamic religions. It's like, I'm going to spoil it. That's this guy. Like there are 3 major religions built upon this man and his faith and his idea of what and who God is and how he should serve him and represent him. This is not the first time that he bails Lot out. Just like we're going to talk about Lot probably again. But as we read through 13 and 14, as you reflect on it this week, and you reflect on the calling that he's got on his life and the promises that God has made to him and the detours that you've taken and the way in which you show appreciation and love for each other and for him, I want you to reflect on Abram, who did not have it all written out on how he was supposed to be. He just loved God and wanted to show his appreciation for his brother and his brother's son, but his brother and for his God. And that's what it was about. It wasn't about mine. It wasn't about yours. It wasn't about this. It wasn't about that. It wasn't about kudos. It wasn't about yay me. It wasn't about any of those things. It was just for the pleasure and the glory of God. The love, his love, our love. That's what it was about. And so this week, as we talk about in service to each other, and this week as we reach out to those that aren't here and those on the prayer list and those that are struggling and suffering, as we reach out to them, reach out for the right reasons. Don't do it under obligation. If you're doing it under obligation, you're doing it for the wrong heart. You need to get on your face before the Lord and ask him to soften your heart. There's a reason that I don't ask people to do things around here so often, because it's hard to tell a pastor no. It's hard to look at a pastor in the face and be like, yeah, I'm not doing that. It's because I desperately want the things to be done. I want people here because they want to be here. I want people to serve because they want to serve. I want people to do all of the things that need to be done because they desperately want to honor him and glorify him and serve our brothers and sisters in Christ. And so I ask you this week to reflect upon that. I ask you to reflect upon, why are you doing the things that you're doing? If you're doing something because I asked you to, because there are a few of you in here that I have looked in the face and just straight out asked. If you're doing it only out of obligation because you didn't want to tell me no, come and tell me. We'll fix it. I want you to do it because you want to honor and glorify God. It's got nothing to do with me. Because you want to serve your brothers and sisters. You want to spread the message. You want those that don't know Jesus to know Jesus through your actions and through your words and through the way that you love. That we're going to represent God and Christ the way that Abram was trying to represent him in the very beginning. And please pray with me. Father God, I want to praise you and I want to thank you for today, for bringing this family together, the brothers and sisters that are here, Lord. I want to praise you and thank you for just the incredible opportunities that you've given us in our lives to show our honor and our glory for you. If we're not leading night raids, Lord, I just praise you for giving us, other opportunities, Lord. I praise you for just giving us the times when we can spread the gospel, when we can tell others who you are, when we can show your love and serve each other and care for our brothers and sisters who are not as mature or capable or just continue to get themselves in trouble, Lord. I praise you for those opportunities, even though they can be fairly exhausting. Father, I want to praise you and thank you for just everyone that you've brought here today, Lord. I want to praise you and thank you for the church family coming together this week to help us bury a young man, Lord, and just bear each other's burden.
I want to praise you for just giving us the type of people that are there and that are willing to lift each other up and be there on the sidelines just in case they need to be called. Father, I praise you, and I lift up the grieving families. I lift up those that are in need. I lift up this church body because we're going through so much. And I just continue to pray that you give us the wisdom and the strength to be your hands and feet, know when to help and when not to help, when to talk and when not to talk. Father, I praise you and I thank you for this beautiful day. I praise you and thank you for the freedom to worship you. I praise you and thank you for everything that you are. In Christ's name we